All right. First YouTube video of 2020. Hi guys, I'm back. Those of you who have been following my channel from the beginning know that I basically did not create one video for YouTube last year. But yes, I'm ready to get back into 2020, 2022. Don't want to repeat 2020, definitely not. Yes. I'm ready to get back into 2022, and I'm also ready for you guys to follow me on this journey. I hope you love the videos I'll be creating this year. I have made a promise to myself as one of my New Year's resolutions to be more consistent here, definitely. At least one video a month. So, hold me to that. Because this is the first video for the year, we're in January, I wanted the theme of this video to be about new beginnings. And I created a vision board for myself, and on my vision board is the word recommit. So this is me recommitting to my goals, recommitting to my friendships with family members, recommitting to my dreams, recommitting to myself as a whole, and also just to my finances, to get myself to a place where I want to be in terms of my finances as well. So I hope you guys can come on this journey with me to recommit to our finances, to everything in life that we want to accomplish. Let's just get to it, okay? So because of the fact that it's January, I thought, let me make a video about budgeting. I've never done a video about budgeting. And I think if you're going to start the year off right and you say, Tembi, I'm trying to get, my finances right, what are you doing if you don't have a budget? Don't even do anything. You have not done anything, actually. If you don't have a budget and your goal is to say, hey, I'm trying to get my finances right. How? What's the plan? Because the budget is the first step. That is your plan. So if you don't have a plan in place as to this is how my income will be spent, this is how I will reduce my debt, this is how I will save more and start investing, you haven't really done anything. And the first step is the budget. So I thought, okay, since I've never done a video before on that, I'll just touch a little bit on budgeting, basically. So there are two budgeting methods that I tend to alternate between. There are a lot other various ones out there, but I tend to use either the zero-based budgeting or the 50-30-20 budgeting. So the zero-based budgeting is basically you allocating every single portion of your income to a specific thing in your budget, to a specific line item until you get to zero. So this is for people who have a problem with overspending, I believe. So if you have a problem with having money left in your account and then that gets you tempted to want to spend it, the zero-based budgeting is for you, because then you'll be like, there's no money. You've already allocated it to all the other things you want to do. And the best thing, especially for zero-based budgeting, is within that first week you get paid, you allocate everything. So if your line item has 1,000 for entertainment, it is just 1,000, guys. Stick to that. If it, and then you allocate money to all your other things, to your savings, to your paying off your debt. But basically the whole point is to get to nil, zero, so that there is no temptation to impulse buy online or anything like that. And then the 50-30-20 method. That method is basically saying, okay, my income, I'm going to divide it in between my needs, my wants, and paying off my savings or debt. So, not paying off my savings, saving and or debt. Okay, so the 50% would be for your needs. The 30% would be for your wants, and the 20% you basically divide it between saving and paying off debt. If you don't have debt, then the whole 20% goes to saving. If you have debt, you want to, allocate money towards that to pay off your debt. I always say the 50-30-20 is not set in stone. So if you feel you could, save more, you can take money out of your wants. Maybe you can reduce a little bit from your needs as well. It just depends on how you want to play around with it. But the whole point is allocate a certain percentage to needs, wants, savings, and debt, and stick to that for the rest of the year. So with any good plan, you need a certain compass. How are you going to stick to it? How are you going to remain consistent? So you need to be, when you're creating it, you need to be honest with your spending. Be honest with yourself. And that is if you spend 500 Rand on alcohol a month, do not put 200 because now you're trying to be aspirational, like I'm going to stop drinking, I'm going to drink less so that I can save more, because then you're setting yourself up for failure. Rather be honest with yourself and actually write it, like put what is the truth, an accurate reflection of your finances. So if you are an impulse shopper and you know, oh, I might spend money on a pair of shoes randomly in the middle of the month, rather be honest with yourself. Because the thing is, when we set plans in place, like a budget, and then we fail and we do something that we were not supposed to do, we feel so guilty. And you don't want your relationship with money to be associated with guilt. You feel guilty. There's nothing wrong with enjoying your money. So allocate where you want your money to go. If it's enjoyment, if it's more focused on paying off your studies or whatever the case may be honest with yourself in that regard. And also, having a budget also really helps. These are my notes. Don't worry, it keeps me on track because I tend to ramble. So having a budget also helps you stay on track. All right. So if you're like, I'm trying to pay off debt this year, it will keep you on track to that goal exactly. And even if you want to save more, it'll help you stay on that right path. And it also keeps you from feeling overwhelmed, because money is overwhelming. So it helps you, stops you from feeling a bit overwhelmed about your finances and all these things. So I feel like if you haven't started with a budget, January is the time to do so. We still have a few weeks left in the month, so that by the end of January and that first paycheck hits at the end of Jan, you have a plan in place and you tackle it the way you want it to go. So now, I also have to cover the fact that now you have a plan in place, now you have a goal, and you're like, Tembi, I'm ready to go, I'm really confident. What is the main hindrance in us not achieving our goals? Okay? And I feel sometimes we have to be honest with ourselves here. The biggest thing, the biggest reason why we don't actually achieve our goals, especially financially, is because we are the problem. We are our own worst enemy. So how are you going to also sit and reflect about your relationship with money? And I think this is where it gets a bit more psychological. In a way, money comes with emotions. And people who say money and emotions are not connected, So you have to sit and reflect on your relationship with money, because there's a whole study around it called behavioral finance that actually tries to understand why human beings behave the way they do when money is presented to them. Okay, we make very irrational decisions as consumers, as investors. The thing that you think, it's common sense, like somebody will always choose what is best for them, is not always the case. And that is usually why our budgets fail. Because you think, it's common sense, you've created a budget, so you're going to stick to it. But no. So we have a tendency to, and I'm going to drag myself and all of us here, we have a tendency to procrastinate. We lack discipline, we make excuses, and we lie to ourselves. So when we fall off track, whether you're trying to save or pay off debt or even invest, and now your budget is you fall off track for some reason, you have a reason, you have an excuse. Oh, I'll do better next month. I'm not going to save this month, I'll save double next month. It's a lie. It's a lie. Don't lie to yourself. So we are our own worst enemies in this way. So I think really also as a good way to handle your relationship with money is to self-reflect, and having the best laid plans is great. Okay, the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. This is a saying that I heard a while back. So yes, we always have the best laid plans, but if you don't have a plan or a direction, and that's really it. The plan or the direction is the budget, but even that won't get you to where you need to go, because we can have a budget, we can have a financial plan, we can have everything ready, and the only unknown element is the human emotion around money. So I really think that is an important thing for us to consider when we are talking about money. Money and emotions go hand in hand. So really reflect on how it feels like when you're spending your money. How does that feel to you? Do you get some kind of euphoria from it? Reflect on also maybe your parents' relationship with money, what you saw growing up, how did they handle money? All that really does play a role in how we progress in life in terms of our money and our relationship with money as well. So how we handle money, it really has to do with sometimes what you have seen other people doing with their money. And those relationships tend to be what our parents have done. Okay? Okay, so another one that I want to quickly cover as well is an emergency fund, because it is the beginning of the year. If you do not have an emergency fund, time to get on it. So I just want to quickly also just touch base on that, because I feel like this should be included in your budget line items, is growing your emergency fund. So for those of you who don't know, an emergency fund is really just a rainy day account for when it hits the fan, really. What are you going to do if you get a drastic reduction in income? What are you going to do if you lose your job? What are you going to do if somebody in your family close to you maybe dies unexpectedly and you have to contribute to, funeral expenses? What are you going to do if you land up in hospital and your medical aid, there is a gap that you cannot afford, and now you owe hospital bills? So it's so many things. If your car tires all bursted once for some reason, do you have money to replace all 4 tires in one go? Those are the types of situations we try to make plans for and contingencies for in your emergency fund, really. And it's really up to you to decide what is an emergency in my life, okay? And in the same breath, you then decide how much are you saving for this unforeseen emergency. So the goal is usually 3 to 6 months of your expenses. So if you know your expenses every month are 15,000, then you have to save 15,000, is that 45,000? Yes, 45,000 for the month in your emergency fund, sorry. So everyone needs it. Whether you're a student, whether you are a working professional and you make a shit ton of money, you still need an emergency fund, guys. Let's not lie to ourselves. Things happen. So you will decide how much money you will need in it. And it also just depends. Another thing, it depends on your job security. If you're like, okay, you have good job security, the industry you work in, the lifestyle you live, how many dependents you have, how old they are, what kind of emergencies you tend to have. Because, as somebody with kids, our emergencies tend to be unforeseen hospital visits because, these people are always trying to kill themselves. So those are the type of emergencies that we have in our minds, in terms of me and my husband's emergency fund. So where do you put it? You must just put it in a normal savings account, guys. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing special. You don't need to go all out. It's just a normal, simple bank savings account. It does not go into the stock market. It does not go into shares and bonds and all these cryptocurrency. Just no, guys. This is not where the money goes. So you want an immediate access account, no 32-day notice, no 7-day notice, immediate access, because sometimes some emergencies cannot wait 7 days. Guys. So rather have it easily available. And my strategy, which I'm just quickly going to share, is me and my husband, we have a portion of it in a normal bank savings account. It doesn't earn much interest, actually. Maybe 1 or 2% for the year. For the year, by the way, this 1 or 2% for the year. Okay. And then our decision was, once the money became substantial, we would then move it to a money market account, money market unit trust, which earns better interests throughout the year. You're looking now, depending on current interest rates, you're looking at 4% a year. When things get better in terms of interest rates, you're looking at about 6 to 7% a year. So for us, that makes sense. We accumulated a large portion of it in the bank account, and then we separated it to a money market unit trust, just so it can grow a little bit better there. And they still some of it in the normal savings account, where we accumulate, and time it hits a certain amount, we push it through. So we take advantage of the higher interest rate in a money market unit trust. And then another way we also save for our emergency fund, which was just unexpected, really, and it happened because of COVID, was our access bond. So we own a home and there's a bond, and so the bond allows us to pay in a little bit extra, which is called an access bond. And when you pay in that little bit extra, it's your money. You can actually withdraw it. If we had an emergency, we can actually withdraw it. So if our bond amount is say 5,000 a month, we pay an extra we pay 6,000, we pay 7,000, whatever it is, right? Because of interest rates, interest rates dropping, our bond amount decreased, but we did not decrease our monthly installment. So we got that advantage. We pay a little bit extra in there, and that money stays in the bond account on over and above the debt we're paying. So if we ever have an emergency and we have 10,000 in there, we can call the bank and say, give us this 10,000. It's your money after all. And you can spend it how you wish. You don't have to replace it. There's no obligation for you to replace that money from the bank because it's an amount over and above what you have been paying. Okay, so that's also another way you can, structure emergency fund. This is really a good one because the bank interest rate on your bond is way higher than anything you can get. So right now, our bond interest rate is about 7.7%. So yearly, we're earning 7.7% on the extra amount we've paid into our bond, which is top. So basically, you have a savings account, 1 to 2%, a unit trust, money market, 4 to 5%, and then a access bond, which is now 7% and higher. So that's how I structure my emergency fund for my family. That's how we do it because ours is a family emergency one. So I would just like you guys to consider the fact that there's different ways to do it. And I know people get antsy about sitting on a lot of money in an account, especially if, say, your emergency fund is 100,000. It doesn't all have to be in the bank account. Think about what your biggest emergency could possibly be and how much that would be, and leave that amount in the bank account, and then let the other amount grow and, transfer money in between easily. All right, guys. Thank you so much for sitting through this video. I had a lot to say because I've been gone for a while. But yes, I hope you will join me in recommitting to our goals, recommitting to ourselves and our finances, and just doing better for ourselves in the year 2022. All right. Bye, guys.